You were not rejected by the world. You were called to something beyond it. Thoth did not write a manual. He sealed codes into symbols, sounds, proportions, and cycles, wisdoms that only respond to those whose frequency rises above ordinary programming. The chosen ones do not arrive by will. They arrive because something within them began to vibrate out of sync with the apparent reality. You start noticing patterns breaking down, structures collapsing, relationships losing meaning, not because of chaos, but because of realignment. What is collapsing? Is everything that no longer resonates with your origin. This dissonance you feel is not weakness. It is a sign, a vibrational marker that your consciousness has already crossed the first fold. And once that happens, there is no going back. Thoth called this the threshold of the chosen ones, the invisible line that separates those who sleep from those who begin to influence the field. If you recognize this silent rupture, if your mind no longer finds shelter in the surface logic of the world, then this video is not information, it is confirmation. Today, you will understand why the true chosen ones are never named. They are sensed by the field, by the vibration, by the reality that starts to bend before them. Some consciousnesses can no longer pretend to belong to the world. They do not rebel. They become silent. They stop fighting for attention. They stop seeking validation. And they begin to feel that something greater is observing from within. Thoth knew this. That is why his transmissions were not given as commandments. They were encoded in vibrational language, accessible only to those whose frequency rises above the collective illusion. This is not about faith, it is about resonance. The chosen ones are not trained. They are awakened through collision, through internal ruptures that begin a cycle in which the external reality stops obeying common logic. Relationships begin to fall apart. Old plans lose their meaning. Synchronicity intensifies, and a new pattern of perception takes over. Even without a manual, Thoth called this the reversal of the field. A moment when the soul begins to influence matter, not through effort, but through presence. And when that presence stabilizes, everything around begins to respond. Reality obeys. Today, you will access the signs of this silent calling. You will understand why certain symptoms are not random. They are vibrational keys in the process of activation. And more importantly, you will learn how to stabilize this frequency and use it consciously. Because the chosen ones did not come to hide. They came to sustain a field that transforms everything. In the ancient temples of Kemet, the original name of Egypt, teachings were not delivered to crowds. Knowledge was not handed out in mass, but revealed in stages, according to the vibration of the seeker. The priests knew that certain truths could only be understood by those whose field was prepared. That is how Thoth operated, not through speeches, but through activation. Among the hieroglyphs, far beyond what traditional archaeology admits, there are records of symbolic codes that had no decorative purpose. They were portals, vibrational maps that only opened for those who were already aligned with them. These beings were the chosen ones, not by status, but by resonance. The emerald tablets, attributed to Thoth, bring a central instruction: wings to the sky, roots in the earth. A hermetic code that describes mastered duality, a being who inhabits the physical plane, but operates from a higher field. This was not a metaphor. It was a practical guideline to move through the layers of reality without being ruled by them. Another teaching left by Thoth states, separate the fire from the earth, the subtle from the dense, with wisdom and discernment. This instruction reveals the internal purification process that the chosen ones go through. They are not chosen because they are pure. They are purified by the very process of crossing the density of the world with clarity. It is the friction that shapes them. This process of vibrational selection was never carried out by men. It was the field itself that chose who was ready to remember. And throughout history, all original traditions, from Hermeticism to Kabbalah, from Taoism to Vedanta, kept this same hidden structure. Awakening does not come with a promise. It comes with a rupture. Today, science is beginning to catch up with what the ancients already sensed. Consciousness alters the structure of reality. Physicist David Bohm proposed that the universe is composed of two orders: the visible one, where everything appears separate, and the implicate one, where all is connected through an invisible field. This field acts as a vibrational mirror, shaping the external world according to the inner coherence of the observer. This is exactly what Thoth described when he said, "As above, so below." Neuroscience is also beginning to reveal the impact of consciousness on the body and the environment. Dr. Andrew Newberg, studying brains in deep meditative states, observed structural changes in areas related to perception, language, and sense of identity. These changes are not symbolic, they are physical, visible through scans. In other words, elevated states of consciousness reconfigure brain architecture and expand the being's vibrational capacity. Rupert Sheldrake went even further. He suggested that there are morphogenetic fields connecting groups of consciousness through non-local patterns. According to him, the more a pattern is vibrationally sustained, the stronger it becomes in the collective. That is why the chosen ones affect everything around them, even in silence. They hold a field that begins to reorganize reality. Science is still trying to measure this, but the field is already responding, and you feel it. The awakening of the chosen ones does not happen in a single moment. It reveals itself in layers, vibrational layers that open as consciousness repositions itself. This transition may feel chaotic, but it holds an invisible structure. It all begins with a silent collapse. When your vibration begins to move out of the common field, everything that was held together by inertia starts to fall apart. Relationships, habits, beliefs, environments. You begin to realize that you can no longer behave the same way. This is the beginning of the vibrational rupture, the first fold. This moment calls for listening, not external, but internal. Microaction: set aside 10 minutes a day for complete silence, without any stimuli, not to look for answers, but to notice which parts of your reality are still trying to keep you in the old field. Then comes the archetype of the crossing, a feeling of no longer knowing who you are, or where you are going. Here, the ego tries to reorganize, but it has already lost control. This is the stage where many give up, but it is also where true alignment begins. Microaction: stop trying to figure out what is happening. Observe, name your sensations, do not judge them. Thoth taught that what you observe without resistance reveals itself. The first transformation begins when you stop fighting the frequency and start listening to it. After the initial crossing, something subtle begins to emerge, a new perception of time, space, and presence. It is when the inner field of the chosen one begins to affect the outer world effortlessly. You begin to feel before you know, to sense before you rationalize. This is the stage of silent resonance. Everything that is misaligned starts to be naturally pushed out of your field. People drift away, doors close, but others, once invisible, begin to open. Microaction: practice vibrational alignment in the morning. Upon waking, before any external stimuli, say mentally, "I take the center of my field." This phrase is not a positive affirmation. It is a vibrational command. It restructures your frequency from the inside out, adjusting your field to the new axis of consciousness. At this stage, the first codes begin to appear. Recurring images, words that echo, numbers that repeat. These signs are not coincidences. They are vibrational portals trying to anchor your new energetic identity. Thoth used to say, "The universe speaks to the one who has learned not to respond in a hurry." That is why, here, time becomes a tool. Everything feels slower. Because you are being repositioned. The body also starts to react. Chills without a cause, surges of energy, vivid dreams. All of this is your system adapting to the new field. With the field stabilized, something that once felt unreachable begins to emerge. Consciousness starts shaping reality directly, not through control, but through vibrational coherence. This is the stage of reflection. Everything around you becomes a mirror of what you hold within. Here, the chosen ones learn that reality no longer needs to be forced. It responds. Micro-action. Choose one single intention for the day. Do not ask, do not visualize with anxiety. Simply declare internally, "Today, I hold the frequency of ... Then complete with the vibration you wish to anchor: clarity, strength, surrender, presence. The silent repetition aligns your field with the geometry of the day. At this point, the archetype of the awakened observer begins to operate. You no longer engage with everything, only with what vibrates on the same frequency. And that is when reality begins to refine itself. Conversations shift. New invitations appear. Doors that were once invisible reveal themselves. Thoth said, "When the field is pure, the path responds." This does not mean the absence of challenges. It means that even obstacles become catalysts for expansion. The final stage is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of conscious vibrational action. You become a presence that transforms, not through force, but because everything around you feels it. A chosen one has arrived. Christopher always had the feeling that something was off, not with the world, but with himself. At school, he couldn't connect with the subjects. In conversations, it always felt like he was on a different frequency. He learned to adapt, to smile, to pretend to be interested. But inside, there was silence. For years, he believed it was just introspection, or some kind of emotional block, until, at the age of 33, everything collapsed. An unexpected breakup, the loss of his job, and a feeling that time had stopped. But it was in that void that something began to unfold. Without seeking anything, he started noticing patterns, vivid dreams with symbols, repeating numbers, unexplainable sensations in his body, and a silent presence almost imperceptible yet constant. One night, he came across an ancient text attributed to Thoth. He read a sentence that felt like it was written just for him. "The one who is pulled from the illusion does not return, he holds." In that moment, something lit up, not as a sudden revelation, but as recognition. Christopher was not lost. He was being repositioned. Today, he no longer seeks to understand everything. He holds. His presence has become his teaching, and what once was confusion turned into silent clarity. Christopher did not become a chosen one. He simply stopped running from the frequency that had always been with him. The greatest obstacle for the chosen ones is not the world. It is the constant self-questioning, the doubt that whispers, "What if I'm just making all of this up?" That voice appears right when the vibration begins to settle, as if the field is testing your firmness. The ego tries to pull you back to what's familiar, to old cycles, to the same pain. Because even suffering, when familiar, can feel safer than the void of transformation. This is the point where many step back. They think they're losing control, when in fact they're being freed from it. The way out is not to resist, but to claim a new center. Doubt only survives in the absence of presence. Solution: when insecurity arises, interrupt the automatic flow with a vibrational gesture. Close your eyes, place your hand on your chest, and say internally, "My frequency does not depend on validation." This small act collapses doubt in the field, because you leave the mind that tries to understand and enter the consciousness that recognizes. Thoth said, "The field responds to what is firm within, and firmness is not rigidity, it is anchored silence." Transmutation does not happen when doubt disappears. It happens when doubt no longer has a place to stand. The true chosen ones do not carry titles, they carry frequency. They do not follow manuals, they listen to the field. And wherever they go, without effort or noise, they leave behind invisible signs of reordering. If you've come this far, maybe you already know. You are not beginning a path. You are recognizing one that has always been beneath your feet. The feeling of not belonging, the struggle to fit in, the intuition that no one seems to understand, none of that is a flaw. It is the echo of a code that has begun to reactivate within you. From now on, every discomfort can be seen as a vibrational adjustment. Every deep silence as a realignment download. Every distance as a refinement of the field. The presence of the chosen ones is not measured by the words they speak, but by the realities that shift without explanation. This knowledge is not theoretical, it is alive, it is pulsing within you, and it can be applied in every action, every decision, every moment where consciousness chooses to hold instead of react. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you are speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say." The true mission of the chosen ones is not to prove anything. It is to vibrate with such clarity that reality itself must reorganize to keep up. Because where there is inner coherence, there is no longer a need for explanation. And once you understand this, your frequency begins working even before you arrive. If this content resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Write the mantra phrase in the comments. I hold the frequency of the chosen ones. This is not just a sentence, it is a code. A vibrational anchor that strengthens your presence in the field. Share this video with someone you feel has also been called, even if they do not yet know it. And click on the screen to watch another video that will expand your level of consciousness. Remember, the chosen ones do not go with the flow. They become the turning point where everything begins to shift.